I'm going to read about the deeper meaning of the generation and completion stages, or Utpattikrama and Utpannakrama, which form the core nexus of Tantric Buddhist teachings and represent the pinnacle of thousands of years of Buddhist psychology, metaphysics, and especially Tantric practice. I'm going to show how that by reflexively training your mind in the generation and completion stages of Mahayoga, you move in line with the way that the universe is really structured, especially the mental universe, how that manifestation and unmanifestation works. And by practicing this, you gain a reflexive quality of being able to mentally align with the movements and patterns of manifestation and unmanifestation, such that every night you're able to generate as a deity, and every day when you wake up you view this as like a generation and dissolution. It's a very powerful practice. It's a reason why that it's the main focus of all of Tantric Buddhism. Okay, so this comes from a preface to a text called Sri Haja Siddhi, where it's explaining generation and completion stage. The two meditations, Utpatti and Utpannakrama, form a basic set of meditations in the practice of Tantrism. They are said to form the nucleus of the esoteric teachings of the Buddhas, and the Tantric literature contains several references to that effect. Shradakavaraman, 11th century, in his Yoganuttara Tantra Tarvatara Samgraha, refers to a controversy about the number of kramas. The terms are well known and are translated to Tibetan as Skyepa-rimpa and Dzogpa-rimpa, respectively. Utpatti-krama is usually referred to as such, but Utpannakrama is synonymous with nispanna-krama or sampanna-krama. These two meditations are mainly connected with the Anuttara Tantras, to which class belong the Gyuya Samaja Tantra, the highest Tantra, the Hevajra Tantra, and the Chakrasambhara, and so on. These meditations are different in detail in the case of each Tantra, but their general nature, discussed in the following pages, may not differ much. The word krama is explained in the Yoga Ratnamala Nama Hevajra Panjarika as krama prakrada kasya krama samadesh. Order means mode. Order of what? That of Samadhi, meditation. Further, Chandra Chena Badajit Para Namena Devata Kranispatir Utpatti Sa Yasmin Samado Asti Sa Utpattikrama. The creation means production of the form of the deity through the maturing of Chandra, moon, Chinha, marks, and Bija, seed. And that Samadhi in which this is created is the Utpattikrama. The Utpattikrama Samadhi of Hevajra is described in the highest Yoga Tantra, in the Hevajra Tantra. It can be analyzed as follows. Plan of the mandala, which is in front of the bhavaka. Nadi Yoga, breath, control, and concentration. Production of the image of the mandala nayaka in the mandala. Enumeration of the goddesses in the inner mandala, Adhyatma Puta. Enumeration of the goddesses in the outer mandala, Bahya Puta. Description of the goddesses. 6 stages of the realizations of the Utpattikrama Samadhi. The chief elements in the Utpattikrama are thus as follows. Concentration on the mandala, regulation of the prana, breath, production of the image of the mandala nayaka in the above mandala. Furthermore, the Utpannakrama Samadhi is described in the Yogaratnamala Nama Hevajra Panjarika as follows. Utpannam swabhavikam eva rupam tadeva tattva upanidra di muchyate bhavyate yasmin yoge utpannakrama. The accomplished form is the inherent form. That yoga in which it is the inherent form is believed and contemplated as a reality, is the Utpannakrama. The Utpannakrama Samadhi is described in the Tantra, being a description of sahaja, which is the innate. The analysis may be as follows. The esoteric meaning of the mandala, the four anandas, i.e. the four stages in the realization of sahaja, the innate, description of sahaja. The two samadhis represent symbolically the dual nature of the outer phenomena and the inner reality, the samvriti and the paramartha, upaya and prajna. Again, Tantra describes the real nature and the philosophical background of the Utpattikrama Samadhi. The tantric practicant contemplates the mandala representing existence and realizes its dreamlike nature, thereby destroying all clinging. Nothing is created and nothing is destroyed, so whatever the practicant creates by way of utpatti-krama is not really created. He realizes non-existence through existence, that is, through the contemplation of existence. The nature of the two meditations suggests a different philosophical background. They may be based on the famous Triswabhava theory of Yogacara. In brief, the theory runs as follows. The dharmas have three aspects: parikalpita, paratantra, and parinishpanna. The paratantra aspect is the manifestation, appearance. It owes its existence to something else, is dependent on something else, and hence is relative, conditioned. When we perceive this appearance, the relation of grahya and grahaka, the known and the knower, perceived and perceiver, is established. Moreover, when we perceive a thing, not only is it perceived by the senses, but also we project our ideas on the appearance or manifestation. The form of the manifestation thus perceived is a parikalpita. When we perceive the appearance without any projection of our ideas, without the dual relations of subject and object, we realize the absolute. This aspect of things is complete, finished, is always the same, never becoming something else, and hence perfected, absolute, parinishpanna. This aspect is the sahaja, which is always existing in the creatures, but is covered with the dust of ignorance and other impurities. This Triswabhava theory can be applied in two ways. On the one hand, it analyzes the phenomenal world, and on the other hand, it describes the experience of the person who perceives this outward existence. The Paratantra aspect is the nature of the phenomenal world, and forms the fundamental doctrine of Buddhism as stated in the Pratitya Samutpada. Parikalpita is the external appearance of things, which is really a projection of the mind. Parinishpanna is the nature of things, which is always fully developed, finished, and is called tattva, sahaja, paramartha, or absolute. From the point of view of experience, the theory may be analyzed as follows. In the first moment of perception, the world is perceived, the subject-object relationship is established, but before its picture is reflected in the mind completely, that is, immediately after or during the moment of perception, the mind adds its own images, ideas, forms, etc. to the manifestation of the thing perceived. This is a parikalpita imagery, a projection, and hence doubly unreal. When this happens, rather than the outside form, our idea fulfills the expectation and creates a pleasant sensation, which produces the thirst for more and more of it, and hence becomes a clinging and a fetter. But only if we realize the vanity of things through the intellect, and by following the three kinds of knowledge, is salvation achieved without any effort. The philosophical background of the Utpattikrama lies in the understanding of the Paratantra and Parikalpita aspects. If the Paratantra is realized through the Parikalpita, that is, in the Utpattikrama, the dreamlike nature of existence is also realized, firstly by creating and later by contemplating the image of the mandala-nayaka. The dreamlike nature of the phenomenal world is the Paratantra, which is realized through the Parikalpita, the created image. Utpannakrama is the realization of the Paratantra without producing the Parikalpita, which amounts to the non-existence of clinging. Hence, what is realized is the ultimate nature, the pure nature of the parinishpanna aspect. In fact, another name of Utpannakrama is nispanna or sampanna-krama. Now, to analyze these two samadhis as experiences, in the Sasrika Hevajratika, we find the following comment. Pratyaksham indriyam yat pratyaksham chittakalpitam utpattikrame jnanam buddhakrama natat. pratyaksham yogino jancho swa samvedanakam jayat utpannakrame jnanam buddhatvakaram param. The knowledge obtained in the Utpattikrama through the perception of the senses and mental constructions does not lead one towards Buddhahood. The knowledge gained in the Utpannakrama through mystic intuition and self-consciousness is the highest knowledge leading to Buddhahood. As it is clear, the theory of direct perception as put forth by the Buddhist logician Dharmakirti and commented upon by subsequent logicians is applied to the experiences represented in the kramas. The sense perception is defined by Dharmakirti and Nyayabindu as Indriya Jnanam, sense knowledge, and commented upon by Dharmottara as Indriyasya Jnanam Indriya Jnanam. Cognition, as far as it depends on the activity of the senses alone, is sensation. Mental perception is defined as swavisayantara visaya sahakarindriya janena samanantara pratyayana janidam tan mano vijanam. Mental sensation follows the first moment of every sense cognition, which is thus its immediately preceding homogeneous cause. The latter is cooperating with the corresponding moment of the object, i.e. with that momentary object which immediately follows the proper momentary object of sensation. Self-conscious perception is described as sarva chittanam atma samvedanam. Every consciousness and every mental phenomena are self-conscious. Mystic intuition is defined as bhutarva bhuvavana prakarsapar yantajam Yogi Jnanam Cheti. The mystic intuition of the yogi is produced from the subculminational state of deep meditation on transcendental reality. Utpattikrama, according to the commentator's view, is of the same category as all of our empirical knowledge. When the practicant looks at the mandala, this can be compared to the first moments of sense perception, and in the subsequent moments, the operations of our intellect, which thereupon construct the image of the object, are subjective. Utpattikrama may be called sensuous intuition in as far as the meditation on phenomenal world, with the view to realize its dreamlike nature is concerned. The production of the image of the mandalanayaka is a subjective creation, and thus, the Utpattikrama consists of both sense perceptions and mental constructions. Utpannakrama is the knowledge gained through the sva-samvedana pratyaksha and the yogi pratyaksha. The former is the awareness of awareness and is a source of direct knowledge. From this self-awareness comes perfection. That is the nature of the great bliss. The direct intuition, or the intelligible intuition of the yogin, is a faculty which will give us immediate knowledge of reality, as directly as felt with the first moment of sense perception. It is said to have 3 stages. I won't read the Sanskrit. There are indeed here 3 stages of transic absorption. The first is that in which the image begins to be clear. Contemplation is in progress. The second is the subculminational degree, when the yogi contemplates the ideal reality as though it were veiled by a thin cloud. In the third, the object is perceived just as clearly as though it were a small grain in the palm of one's hand. This latter is the yogi's direct knowledge. This direct knowledge is non-constructive, as vivid as sensuous perception, and timeless. This is the knowledge one realizes in the Utpannakrama Samadhi, namely generation meditation. Now that the thought world behind these 2 kramas is understood to an extent, it may be easier to translate them into English. Utpattikrama may be translated as a meditation on the process of creation, and Utpannakrama as a meditation on the process of perfected or fully developed nature. I got that wrong. This knowledge one realizes Utpannakrama Samadhi, that's the dissolution, and Utpattikrama is the generation. Okay, so that's commenting on the generation and the dissolution stage of meditation. So it's talking about how that the yogin basically aligns and uses this process of generation stage and completion stage meditation to unify the basic, to understand and contemplate on the basic structure of the reality according to the Buddhist way that it works. So subsequent sense perceptions and mental generations of images, which is appearance, and then the dissolution of the completion stage in Samadhi, which is emptiness. So through practicing generation and completion stage, you gain the whole total Buddhist philosophical knowledge on the unity of appearance and emptiness.